Okay, everybody, welcome back. So this time out in this section, section 7, this is going to be multiple parts. So this will be section 7, part 1. There'll be part 2, part 3, probably part 4 and part 5, because I want to try to keep these videos somewhat short and somewhat digestible. But this next section in multiple parts are going to really talk about the layout that we have in front of us here in the edit screen in the song page. I'm going to take you through the different sections and where you can find everything to kind of get you up and running pretty quickly. So the first thing I want to show you is I want to show you the browser. So go ahead and open up Studio One, and you should be pretty much right here at the same part that I'm at this point. Okay, we're going to go to the browser, and the browser is located down here in the bottom right hand corner. You're going to click on the browser button or browse button, and in this browser is where we have all our files, plugins, effects, loops, and so on and so forth. So let's start over here with the this menu bar, these tabs. We can start with the home here. So it may default, when you open it for the first time, it may look like this. You click on this little home button in the top left-hand corner, and you can then pick what you want to find in the browser. We have all of our VST instruments here, our effects, our loops that came with Studio One, any files that we want to find on our computer, the cloud if we want to go out to the PreSonus shop and get other services or plugins, and then the pool, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So one great thing about the cloud, we'll just jump to the cloud for a second. That's where you can go out to the PreSonus shop, and if you want to buy some of their plugins, you never have to leave Studio One, which is really, really cool. You can buy some of their plugins, and it'll just update right into your thing, which is really, really awesome. And then down here, we'll have a couple of buttons here where we can re-index the presets or update the plugins if you purchase some plugins. If you were to click on that, it just goes through all the plugins to make sure everything is updated. But if you purchase something from the cloud, that's going to allow you to purchase a plugin, update the plugins, and it'll work. Okay, let's start at the very top here, which is instruments. Now, if you click next to the home button here, you can get to the instrument tab the same way. You can click on instruments here, or from the home screen here, you can click instruments. Now here is where all the instruments that lives on your system is going to be in here. So now if this is your first time with Studio One, you're only going to see the PreSonus folder. This is a different a third-party plugin called Easy Drummer, which was here from a previous instructional video. You won't see that, but you'll see this PreSonus folder here, and here are the virtual instruments of the software instruments, the VSTs that come along with Studio One. So we have Impact, we have Mai Tai, we have Mojito, we have Presence, we have Sample One. Okay, these are your software instruments. Now, you can buy additional software instruments from the PreSonus shop, as I said, or if one day you want to upgrade to the professional version of Studio One, it'll have more VSTs. But you have everything you need here to get rolling, and we're going to use a couple of these in our song coming up in future sections. Okay, so that's our instruments tabs. And if you want to put an instrument into your session, I'll just show you how to do that now, and then we'll delete it. You just highlight it here. You can just left click and drag it right onto the screen here, and it automatically opens it up. And it creates an instrument track here. Let me just close Impact here for a second. So if you want to drag a virtual instrument onto your track, you just do it, and then you can see it automatically creates a track, and it creates an instrument track, and we'll talk about the differences in a little bit. And then if you just click on that little funny symbol, you will see your instrument open up. Okay, so that's just something to note. I'm going to remove this by right-clicking and say Remove Track, and it'll put it away. Okay, so that's the instrument tab, or the VSTs, okay? Now you can look at these and you can sort these lists by different ways. You can look at them by vendor or by type. I typically will keep it by vendor because when you get third-party plugins, let's say down the road, and you have different companies, and every company will have say multiples of different styles of effects. For me, it's easier to find if I keep them by vendor. But if you put it by type, it will change. So when we get to the effects tab, I'll show you what that looks like. So the next one is the effects tab. And once again, we have our PreSonus folder here. Once you, if you were to buy third-party plugins down the road and get the upgraded add-on pack, booster pack they call it, which we'll talk about later in future sections, to Studio One Artist, it allows you to use third-party plugins. And if you do that, you'll see all the different plugins here. By manufacturer, because I have it sorted by manufacturer. If I clicked on type, it's not going to do anything because I only have PreSonus. But let's say I had 3 or 4 different companies, and I selected type, then it would put like all my compressors together, all my EQs together in one folder by multiple companies. Some people like to work that way, okay? But I like to work by vendor. So if you open up the PreSonus folder, you'll see all of the plugins that come with Studio One Artist. And there's a whole host of them. Again, you have everything you need. You really don't need to go out and buy any third-party plugins at this point, but you may want to at one point. We'll talk about that later. We're not going to go through every plugin in this particular training course, but we'll go through a lot of them. Right now, I just want to show you the layout. Okay, so that's all of our effects or our plugins. We can come over here to loops, and here's all the loops that come with Studio One. Okay, and you can build entire songs just from here. It's sorted right now by style, and if you click down here, sort by, you can do it by instrument, you can do it by character in general, vendor. If I went by instrument, I can see my bass, my bells, my brass, my drums. If you go by style, it has the style of music, and let's just check the first one here, blues. Here's all the loops for blues. We have basses, we have drums, we have guitars and organs, and these are all wave files, okay, loops. So let's just do drums for a second, and if you open up the loop folder, you'll see we have a bunch of audio loops, okay. If I were to just say highlight the first one, if you look down here at the bottom of the browser, you have a little preview player that you can listen to it. It gives you the information about that particular wave file. In this case, it's a Funk Soul Drums A1 is the name of it. It's 44.1 kilohertz, 24-bit stereo file. It's an audio loop, and it's 14 seconds long. Here's the tempo at 130 beats a minute. So if I were to just hit play, and hopefully over this video you're hearing that drum loop. If you're not, don't worry, trust me, it could just be the video recording software. You will actually hear that drum loop, and you can audition drum loops or any kind of loop before you put it into your song. And just like with the virtual instruments, if I want to add it to my edit screen, you just left click and just drag it on here, just like we did with that instrument, and you'll see it'll put an audio track here, and it'll put the loop right on the edit screen. So really, really easy to do. We'll remove this for now. Okay, so we're going to build our drum track for our song coming up in a future section from the loops. So get yourself familiar with all the loops, all kinds of styles, all kinds of instruments, and again, you can purchase more at the PreSonus shop. Okay, then over here we click on the Files tab, and the Files tab is really just a navigation to your computer. So let's say you had a wave file, a drum loop that you wanted to bring in that wasn't part of the Studio One loops, and it was located on your desktop. Well, you can go onto your desktop, you can find that file, you can left click, and you can drag it in. So it's a nice way to navigate to your hard drive or hard drives. If you have multiple hard drives hooked up to your computer, you'll see them all listed right here. Okay. Now we have the cloud. The cloud, again, allows us to go out to the internet, assuming that you're either hooked up to a Wi-Fi network or through an Ethernet cable. You could go to the PreSonus shop, the PreSonus Exchange, or as we said earlier, SoundCloud, which is we'll use later on, where you can publish your song to your SoundCloud account once it's done, right out of Studio One. No need to leave the program. The PreSonus shop, you could sign in with your username and password, and it allows you to go in and to buy, here we go. So I already signed in. If I wanted to buy different loops or sounds, I can do that. You can buy different plugins if you wanted to do that from the PreSonus shop. You can see there's a whole host of them here. You could buy sampler instruments. You can upgrade if you wanted to upgrade, as we said earlier, from artist to professional, the version. You can do all of that. And when you click on it, you'll see a little description down here at the bottom of what you're going to be looking at here. So for example, if I go under plugins and click on the CTC-1, that's a PreSonus plugin. It's called the Pro Console Shaper by PreSonus. Okay, and then you can buy it right from here. This one happens to be $79.99 US. You click on buy, you have a credit card that'll be hooked up to your PreSonus account. No fuss, no muss. You'll be able to update your plugins and use it straight away. You never have to leave the program. That's super, super cool and super, super convenient. So that's the PreSonus shop. The PreSonus Exchange is kind of a cloud-based thing where people share different, let me just see here. Oh, I got to sign it again. The first time I'm signing in, so I'm going to accept my terms of service. And this allows users, and you can be one of these users, that can share freeware, free loops, free effects, chains, free things, grooves, free extensions, things that you want to share with other Studio One users. So if someone has a groove or a drum beat or some kind of a cool shaker file, sample or something, you can go ahead and you can download that and bring it right into Studio One. So that's pretty cool as well. I urge you to take some time and check that out. And then last but certainly not least, SoundCloud. I don't have my SoundCloud account hooked up to this. We'll do this later. But this is, again, where you can access your SoundCloud account all right from the browser. So you don't need to, to ever leave Studio One, okay? Then the last tab we have over here is called the pool. And right now in the pool, you'll see there's only one file here. The pool is really a collection of all the audio files or MIDI files that you've used in your session up to this point. Even though we don't see anything on the screen here, you can see we had a file right here and we can preview it. This was that drum file that I had over here that I deleted. Even though you deleted off the edit screen, it saves it in the pool as a file that you used. This is very helpful once you get into really song creation and arrangements and stuff. You may delete things and add things, and then once you delete something, you may think, geez, I want that part back that I deleted. Where do I get it? Where's the file? Where did it go? You can go over to the pool. You can take it and you can just left click and drag it right back into the edit screen, and it puts the track back. So that's really, really helpful. A lot of people don't really think about using the pool. They forget that it's there, but remember that it's always there. Okay, so that is that is kind of the browser here. Let's see if we click on this little thing here. This will just give you a little view, a slider here to make the file look bigger or smaller. So if you have a whole bunch of these files in the pool, you can expand the width and see them a little bit easier. And then finally, you have a search where if you wanted to search the pool for a file or file name or something, you can search as well. So that is the browser, and again, you just open and close it here, and that's it. And you'll spend a lot of time in the browser, especially when you're going to get your plugins and whatnot, and bringing things into your session. The browser is something that you're going to use all the time. So so definitely come back for the next section. In section 7, part 2, we're going to talk a little bit about the toolbar and some of the tools that you're going to use, in most of your Studio One workflow. So come on back for the next section.